Yo, tonight's NHL slate, it is thick, it is ginormous, it is filled with 14 games. One of those games will include the debut of Owen Power, who was drafted number 1 overall by Buffalo in 2021. So just coming out of Michigan here, 33 games last season there at the college ranks, 3 goals, 29 apples.
Yeah.
Okay, and they're playing in Toronto, and I believe he grew up in that neck of the woods.
I'm not going to try and say the
Mississauga. All right, maybe RotoWire's Paul Bruno or AJ Scholz, along with NHL.com fantasy editor Anna Dua, can help us out. Paul, how do you pronounce that suburb?
Mississauga.
Okay.
Mississauga.
Okay, awesome.
I nailed it. Just kidding.
Hey, Paul, you gonna roster him? $2,500 tonight? That's your kid.
No way. The guy's going to be nervous as all get out here. I mean, and you mentioned it. I mean, you mentioned all the points. He's got a total of 6 goals over 2 seasons. This is not a big-time goal scorer we're talking about. He's a defenseman, a big, hulking specimen of a player. 6'6", 213 are the stats. And 48 points over 59 games. Sure, he's going to be involved in the offensive play, but I don't think he's a finisher. I don't think he's going to be counted on to score. I think he's more of a two-way presence on that blue line. A nice compliment to what they have already in Rasmus Dahlin. Going to man that blue line for the next 10 years, and that should improve Buffalo's prospects.
Yo, Anna, what do you think his long-term fantasy outlook is?
I love Power. I think he's a great defenseman. He's a defenseman we actually haven't seen in quite some time in the NHL. He's a big guy. He can skate well. He did well at Michigan. He had 32 points, 33 games played. I do agree that tonight might not be the night he's coming into the NHL, facing off against a Maple Leafs team that has no regulation losses in their last 8 games. So maybe not tonight, but for the rest of this regular season and onwards, he is definitely someone to keep an eye on. The whole Sabres, actually, just a great group of guys.
I mean, AJ, it's hard to miss him. As Paul's mentioned, he's 6 feet 6 inches tall.
Without skates on.
Without skates. So that means he's probably 8 feet tall.
Yeah.
That's a big boy.
Yeah, it is.
Look, I actually think these two are wrong. I think you should use Power tonight because, as you said, Emerson, $2,500. Like at $2,500, I'm not asking for a goal here. Maybe pick up an assist. Might get out there with the second power play unit. Maybe they even toss him with the first. That historically, a lot of teams will do that in guys' first game to get him some minutes that they're a little more comfortable in. They'll put him in power play situations. So at $2,500, I think he's a great play tonight. Picks up assists, maybe a couple shots. I mean, all that is worth the value. You don't have to have a guy scoring goals when you're paying so low for him, and it'll let you build up the rest of your roster. I don't care that the Leafs have been winning either. Fact of the matter is they've also been allowing a few goals. So there's a good opportunity here. I think Power's in play tonight.
All right, and if you play him, like you said, he's $2,500, so you can build up your lineup in other spots. So we got some expensive guys tonight. Center spot, absolutely loaded, stacked here. You got Matthews, McDavid, Barkov, Eichel, Crosby, like ton of star power up the middle. So AJ, who's worth their price tonight? Because you can spend up here.
Crosby, maybe?
I mean, always worth it, right?
Yeah.
And I will say, I wasn't going to mention him, but since you brought him up, Emerson, like historically, Crosby plays better when Malkin's out of the lineup and vice versa. So it might not be a bad play tonight. But instead, I'm actually going to look at Leon Draisaitl for $7,500. That's a huge savings compared to McDavid. It's not the best matchup in Minnesota. Their goaltending, regardless of who it's been, has been great. They are going to go with Cam Talbot tonight. But he's got 9 shots in his last 2 games, despite being held off the score sheet. So I think using Draisaitl here makes a lot of sense. He saves you some money compared to the top guys, so you don't have to punt in too many spots here. And I think it's primed for him to get back in there. Like I said, 9 shots in his last 2 games. The points are coming.
All right, Anna, what do you think? Who do you want to pay up for at center tonight?
Tons of great centers. You mentioned Matthews, Barkov, Crosby, all in favorable matchups too. Matthews, 16-game point streak, tough to argue against him, 31 points, 21 goals in that stretch. But I'm actually going to raise you Josh Norris of the Ottawa Senators. He's playing against the Detroit Red Wings tonight. He has points in 8 out of his last 9 games. He's been playing so well lately, 32 shots on net during those last 8 games. He leads the Sens in goals, second on the team in points behind his line mate in Brady Tkachuk. And he performs well on the road. He has 26 points, 17 goals in 30 away games this season. And against the Detroit Red Wings, he scored 4 goals this season, which is the most he scored against any singular team. So I'm going with Norris, who's at 6,300, so not bad.
All right, Paul, who are you going with in the center position?
Well, I like AJ's call on Draisaitl, so I won't double down on that. I'm going to say Austin Matthews is a hard guy to ignore, too, when he's got almost 6 shots on goal in the last 10 games played. I haven't talked about anybody all season with that kind of shot volume alone. That makes him almost reasonable at the $9,800. But then you add in the fact that he's a goal-scoring machine, and that becomes a palatable pick for me. I'll also talked about a couple of other guys that I really like, though. Jack Eichel finally looking like the offensive leader of a finally motivated Golden Knights attack. He has 6 goals and 9 points and 44 shots in his last 10 games played. So he's really rolling. You get him for only $7,900. And then, of course, Alex Barkov leading the most potent attack in all of hockey with $8,500 his price tag. A great matchup against the visiting Anaheim club. He comes in hot with 8 goals and 17 points. Along with 34 shots on goal in his last 10. It's a mismatch against Ducks centers that are slow and they're not physical, and the defense, they give up a lot of goals here too.
Hey, Anna, how about on the wing? Like Ovechkin, Marner, Kucherov, all 8K or more. So who's the guy do you think people should be paying up for?
Once again, on the wing, tons of great option. I don't want to steal Paul's brand here, but Mitch Marner having an unreal time right now, too. He's on a 13-game point streak. It seems like Toronto just can't keep themselves off the scoreboard. But Ovechkin actually is playing against the Philadelphia Flyers, which is always a great matchup. 3-game goal streak. Nicholas Backstrom coming back into the lineup tonight to help revitalize that Washington core. Washington's holding on to that last wildcard spot in the East. They probably want to head into the playoffs with a little bit of momentum. So I'm going Alex Ovechkin tonight.
All right, cool. Good pick there. Paul, what about you?
And never be shy about mentioning the Leafs. I love watching AJ squirm, and it's 2-on-1 against him for a game. You know, the hottest scorer in the league is one of these options. You got the top goal scorer among this trio, Ovechkin, as a leader of the two-time Stanley Cup champs in this group is Kucherov. So there's a compelling case for each of these guys. Of the three, I would go with Ovechkin. He has the best matchup against a Philly team that's lacking in motivation. They're playing out the string here, and they're the worst opponent of the three for the 3 stars tonight as well. Ovechkin and company could be in for a big night with this mismatch, and I'm there for it. Even though he cost $8,300, I see him adding to those 7 goals in his last 10 games played. The best matchup, though, among the top shooters, it belongs to Johnny Gaudreau, who faces Seattle at home tonight. He's right up there with Marner over the past month in scoring, and 32 shots on goal in the last 10 games, just the tip of the iceberg. He costs only $7,600. He's going to pad all those stats tonight.
AJ, who's it you're going to pay up for on the wing?
How am I the guy that's going to say, like, Mitch Marner's the way to go, right? Like, I'm the one person here not from Toronto. Like, what is going on here? Look, 13-game point streak, a fantastic matchup versus Buffalo, and somehow not the most expensive player on the board. I think he should cost more than Ovechkin tonight. 9 of those 13 games have been multi-point efforts, so it's practically automatic at this point. I mean, the one argument you can make is that maybe everybody else is going to be on him. So you go contrarian in like a GPP and fade him. But I doubt that's going to pay off when he picks up 2 or 3 points tonight. Absolutely have to have Marner.
All right, real quick, give us a value play that you like for tonight that we haven't mentioned yet, Paul.
Jake DeBrusk has capitalized on his promotion of the Boston top line, 7 goals and 10 points in his last 10 games played, costing only $4,000. Ditto for Jack Eichel's winger, Evgeny Dadonov. He's got 12 points and 6 goals in his last 3 weeks. And then finally, with Ovechkin producing, I look at the opposite wing for Tom Wilson, who's also firing all kinds of shots, 33 in his last 10 games played. He's got 5 goals and 9 points in that stretch. And don't forget, he's got that tasty matchup against Philly.
All right, AJ.
For me, it's Jeff Carter. I mean, of course it is, right? But $3,900 for a guy that's going to move into Malkin's spot on the number 2 number 2 line for Pittsburgh here. Super cheap. Great upgrade for him. He's going to play with Jason Zucker and Ricard Raquel. Isles are going with Sorokin here, so it is maybe a tougher goalie matchup. Sorokin's actually been pretty good lately, but at $3,900, Jeff Carter for second-line minutes is huge.
All right, Anna, value.
I'm going with Matt Boldy out of Minnesota. He's playing the Edmonton Oilers tonight, which is a tough matchup, but the last time he played the Oilers in February, 1 goal, 1 assist, 2 points. He's on a 3-game point streak right now. He has 5 points in that span. He had 5 shots against the Kings the last time he played them on Sunday, and he's tied for the most points per game out of any rookie in the NHL with Anaheim's Trevor Zegras with a .81 right now. He's on a great line with Kevin Fiala playing the other wing on this line. Fiala has 2 points, 1 goal, 1 assist, and 14 shots on net in his last 3 games. So I think that entire line is someone to keep an eye on.